Episode 19. The Pet Detectives Save Christmas. The Pet Detectives were back in their office when Polly Opossum said she could just not wait for her favorite time of year, Christmas. Now, Polly loves the joy of the season, people thinking of others, and not to mention the decorations that Polly enjoys making herself. This year, Polly went all out. She made stockings for the team. Now that the Pet Detectives have, over the past year, become quite well known, Polly Opossum opened up a gift shop in the unused corner of Homer's feed store to sell her handmade wares. Coffee mugs, t-shirts, and Polly Opossum's jams and jellies. But just because the joyous holiday season is in full swing, so are the mysteries and emergencies, and they never take a holiday. Then, as if right on cue, the Pet Detective hotline rang. The call was from the North Pole, and it was the big guy himself, Santa. Pepe said, "Oh, good! I need to ask Santa, why did my name get mixed up from the nice to the naughty list again?" Now it seems each year Pepe is the only one of the Pet Detectives that has this problem of the naughty and nice list mix-up. Santa has been keeping track of both lists online now. He's able to keep a closer track of all the good little boys, girls, and pets too. This mix-up has only been a problem for one of the Pet Detectives, Pepe. Now on the other hand, Charlie, Bailey, the twin red foxes, Samuel and Isaac, Little Colonel, Polly, Ruger, and Little Thomas have never been on the naughty list. Now Pepe really isn't a bad little guy, but he does get a lot of warning letters and naughty tickets in the mail from Santa throughout the year to remind him to be a little more polite. Lucky for Pepe, Mrs. Claus has a soft spot in her heart for Pepe, and she always takes care of her little Pepe. I think Mrs. Claus and Pepe's Mommy Debbie think a lot alike. The reason Santa has called the Pet Detectives today is that the elves that help Santa make all the toys have fallen behind in their toy-making duties. Due to an unforeseen supply chain issue, there has been a huge increase in good little boys and girls this year too, and it appears all the children have been doing well in school and doing all their chores at home. So that means Santa will also need help delivering all the toys. Well, none of the Pet Detectives have any experience in being elves. Except for a short action movie Charlie and the boys Samuel and Isaac starred in, The Revenge of the Ninja Elves, but it had a short-lived life at the theaters. But that was all pretend, and this is for real. Santa said he needs the Pet Detectives as soon as possible. Can do, Santa, but it's going to take us a little while to get there. Santa said, "No problem. Pack up your warm clothes and pack 'em fast. I'll be there lickety-split." Now that's Latin for right away. Soon the Pet Detectives were packed and ready to head north. And as promised, up in the sky from the north came Santa and his sleigh. "Hi, Santa." "Well, ho, 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 hello there. So glad you guys can come help me out this year." Oh, now, why does Santa say ho, ho, ho? Now it's a little known fact that Santa is from a long line of yodelers in his family, and they were famous in Austria for yodeling. They'd say, "Yodely ho, yodely ho, yodely ho." But poor little Santa, he had a speech impediment and he never could get all that to come out right. So he shortened it up to yo, 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 and he eventually turned into, you got it, ho, 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 and that's the reason Santa says it. Now Santa thanked the Pet Detectives for agreeing to help out, and Charlie answered, "Never a problem to help you out, Santa." Charlie said that before Pepe could, but Pepe made sure he sat close to Santa in the sleigh. so Santa would know he was helping out, and he'd have a chance to talk to Santa about the naughty and nice list mix-up. But none of the team had any idea how fast Santa's sleigh is. They were at the North Pole before they had a chance to even start talking to him. Santa circled his home in the toy factory. They could see the lights down below through the mist and the clouds. "Look at all the snow," Bailey said. "It's beautiful up here." Santa soon landed his sleigh right in front of his house. The team all unloaded and they went into the house, where Mrs. Claus had hot apple cider and hot chocolate for them to warm them up before they got started. Now, now where's little Thomas and Ruger, you ask? Well, after they delivered the dairy cows to Trucker Dan's dairy and enjoyed their frozen milkshakes, little Thomas told Ruger he knows a shortcut and it's guaranteed to get them home and not lost. Again, Ruger turned his paws up to the sky and shrugged his shoulders, and he just agreed to go along. Now Thomas was sure this time because he had a compass put in their pickup. What could go wrong? Apparently a lot. Without thinking, Ruger put his frozen milkshake in the cup holder right next to the compass, which froze the compass and made it read completely opposite. Instead of heading south towards home, they were headed north. After hours of driving, soon the lights of Santa's home and toy workshop came into view, and that's when they both realized their mistake. Santa came out to greet them both and said to little Thomas and Ruger, "So happy to see you boys. I was just going to call you both." Santa explained to Thomas and Ruger about his problem this year, and not only does he need help making the toys, but he'll also need help delivering the toys, so someone needs to drive his backup sleigh, the old Kris Kringle Express. Now this old sleigh can be a handful to drive, but it's dependable. So Thomas and Ruger said, "Yes sir, Mr. Claus," and Thomas explained to Santa about their happy little accident and how they ended up at Santa's. And then Ruger told Thomas, "You know Santa already knows we were lost? He's Santa." "Oh, that's right," said Thomas. Then Santa told Thomas and Ruger that the backup sleigh needs a little fixing up, and they won't have Rudolph with his red nose to help get them through the snow and the fog. But naturally, Santa does have extra reindeer to pull the sleigh swiftly through the night. However, the reindeer only spoke reindeer, which only Santa knows how to speak. But that was until Samuel and Isaac, the twin red foxes, were able to exhibit their knowledge of almost all animal languages. So they soon worked with the reindeer to learn their language. While Thomas and Ruger, they cleaned up and readied the old Kris Kringle Express. Meanwhile, back at Santa's toy factory, Charlie was helping make little airplanes. Bailey, she was helping make little birdhouses with their new elf friends, while little Colonel spent his time in the music department making ukuleles. You see, Colonel is an excellent ukuleleist, or ukulele-er. Well, anyway, he had an album out a few years ago where he played all the classical music on his ukulele, and it was titled, "Little Colonel Plays the Classics." Where's Pepe, you ask? Well, he kept asking all the elves, "Hey, where are those little elves that make all the cookies?" He was sad to find out that that's a different bunch of elves, and the only cookie making done up here is done by Mrs. Claus. "Roger that," said Pepe, and he rushed off to help Mrs. Claus with her famous sleigh snacks. And he needed to help himself out with his little sweet tooth. The pet detectives worked with all their newfound elf friends at Santa's toy factory. As soon as the toys were finished and wrapped, and they were loaded onto Santa's sleigh in his big present bag. Since it was Santa's bag, it could hold all the toys in the world. The problem is that Santa won't be able to deliver them all this year. but he has his backup delivery drivers, the pet detectives, to help out. Santa had the list of names and toys that will be delivered by the pet detective team. And the little elf called Crouton, who's in charge of shipping, he made sure the pet detective's sleigh was quickly loaded correctly. Well, that was all pretty good timing on Crouton's part, because Thomas and Ruger were on their way to the toy factory to deliver their sleigh for loading. When they brought the sleigh to the toy factory to be loaded up with toys, it didn't even look like the old sleigh. Thomas and Ruger, the boys Samuel and Isaac, had cleaned and polished it up to look brand new. Thomas and Ruger will not have Rudolph to help them make it through the fog and snow, but they will have three things that will: a luggage rack, GPS, and fog lights. Now, with both sleighs loaded and the reindeer hooked up with their magical flying power, all the toy factory elves gathered around the sleighs, and Santa thanked them for all their hard work all year long. Now, with Santa and the pet detective sleighs loaded up to the hilt, the reindeer teams hooked up and ready to go, Santa gave Mrs. Claus a kiss on her cheek, and with a giddy up and a snap of the reins, he was off, and the pet detectives were right behind him. Driving their sleigh were Thomas and Ruger. Santa just issued them both temporary Santa sleigh driver's license, and they have Samuel and Isaac assisting them by giving directions to the reindeer until Thomas and Ruger learn the reindeer commands. Now, who's going to deliver the toys under the trees to the little children? None other than Santa Charlie. And Bailey will play the part of Mrs. Bailey Claus. Little Colonel, he'll be watching the GPS and helping with directions. Pepe will be putting the toys for each house into Santa Charlie's toy bag, as Thomas and Ruger quietly landed the sleigh on each roof. Santa Charlie would hop off the sleigh and down the chimney he would go. But the pet detectives were new at being Santa Clauses, so they were falling behind and had to come up with a faster plan to deliver all the toys on Christmas Eve. Mrs. Bailey Claus said to the pet detective team, "We'll have to work together and all of us deliver the presents." So Thomas and Ruger would swiftly touch and go on the rooftops, dropping the presents as they went. To the pet detectives, they would run from rooftop to rooftop and catch them and deliver them. After they were dropped off, Thomas and Ruger would circle back around and pick up the team and start all over again, which meant they never stopped or slowed down. Now, Thomas and Ruger would take turns dropping the presents gently over the side onto the rooftops, and the team of substitute Santas were dashing down the chimneys delivering the Christmas gifts to all the good little boys and girls. Oh, what's that? Oh yes, Pepe, and to the good little pets too. Just when things were finally working like a fine oiled machine, the big snowstorm came. And that's when Thomas and Ruger turned on their fog lights. But this snow was thick as clam chowder. Even with the fog lights beaming on high, they could only see a few feet ahead. Ruger took over the driving of the sleigh, while little Thomas took over dropping the presents down to the houses below, for the rest of the pet detective team to deliver them almost as quickly as Santa does. By reading the GPS, little Colonel made sure the right presents were delivered to the correct houses, matching up to the list Santa gave them. The hours went quickly by. However, just before the sun came up, they were down to one last present. Pepe said, "The present at the very bottom of Santa's bag. It's almost too far for my little Chihuahua paws to reach." "Who's it for?" Charlie asked, with a big grin on his face. Pepe said, "I can't see the name on it yet. It's all the way down at the bottom here at the toy bag." So Pepe, he shimmied and shook and he crawled all the way down to the bottom of the big bag and pulled it out. And when he read the name on the tag, he realized the present was for him. It was from Santa. Pepe made the good doggy list after all. Pepe said Santa always saves the best gifts for last. So the Pet Detective team helped Santa and the elves catch up and deliver all the toys to all the good little boys and girls and pets. The Pet Detectives told Santa it was their pleasure to be able to help him spread Christmas joy around the world to others, and that was present enough for them. Isn't that right, Pepe? Now, from our Pet Detective Team family to yours, a very Merry Christmas, as Charlie reminds us all that the first Christmas was also celebrated by giving gifts to others. Now, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It's Christmas, and remember, don't fight over that share button. There's enough sharing to go around for everybody. It's Christmas. And if you want to, leave a little message for all of us here. And from our team to yours, Merry Christmas.